Hello, my name is Tripura, and this is Prenatal Yoga. If you are joining the class, make sure you type in the comment box that you're here so I can see who you are. We're also recording this class so it'll be available to later do the practice. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Back. So you'll need today some pillows, like some toss pillows from your sofa or from your bed, and maybe a bigger pillow like this bolster, but a bigger pillow. Sometimes they make pillows like this for beds, and a blanket, a simple blanket. And maybe a block or a book with a towel over it, or a smaller pillow. Okay. And we're going to use these two things right now. So I'm going to sit on this blanket and block. I'll show you how I'm going to do that. Because I want my hips to be higher than my knees. So you can place the blanket, place the block or the book, and then the blanket over that so it's soft, and then sit comfortably on top of that, and then crossing ankle in front of ankle so your knees drop, and then lift your shoulders up, back and down, and that gives you the natural curves of your spine. When you sit like this, it also takes some of the pressure out of your hips, and some of us who are pregnant, our hips get tight and sore. So that's something to consider when you're sitting comfortably like this. We're going to first ground, and then we'll talk a little bit about what we're going to do today. So hands, palms down on your knees, sitting on your blanket and your book or block or pillow. Shoulders up, back and down. And just close your eyes and feel like, imagine you have like a wire pulling the crown of your head towards the sky. So kind of a lifting out through the top of your head. And the breath is natural. The tongue is resting on that little ridge behind your front teeth. And your jaw is relaxed. And just observe your breath in this position. Watch how it moves in and out naturally, the spontaneous flow of your breath. Notice all the different nuances of the breath. Sometimes your breath is a little choppy, and sometimes the breath is shallow and very fast. And sometimes we have to take a big breath and just sigh. So just notice all the different ways your breath moves when it's spontaneously moving in and out. We're not manipulating our breath, we're just watching. Now let's do a count breath. Depending on how far along you are in your pregnancy, you can do a 6 count in when you're early on, first few weeks or months of your pregnancy, like up to the first trimester is good. Breathing into a count of 6 and exhaling completely. If you're past your 3rd trimester, maybe do a 4 count in and a complete exhale out. So we'll begin doing that. You want the breath to be continuous and fluid and smooth. So try not to pause when you empty out completely, or pause when you are at that peak of the inhalation. You want to keep it nice and smooth, like oil pouring from a container. Just keep it nice and smooth and continuous. Or an accordion. way an accordion plays. It has to keep, if it stops, it can't get air in or out. So you want to keep it nice and smooth and fluid. And if you're new to this, have compassion for yourself. Be gentle. It takes a few classes to learn how to do these things, these breathing techniques. And we'll take one more breath with awareness, watching how it feels. And then let your breath go back to its natural movement. We're going to gently open the eyes and keep your gaze soft. Try not to focus right away. Just keep your gaze soft and notice how you feel. And then carefully come forward and take your blanket and block out from underneath you. And we'll take the legs out in front and just slide your heels right and left, right and left. And then point your toes and flex your feet. This is great for getting circulation back to the joints of your ankles and knees and hips. And then rotate and go the other way. And open and close. Okay, so I'm going to sit comfortably, ankle in front of ankle. You can sit however comfortable. If you want to keep your legs out in front, that's perfectly fine. The goal for your class with me is your comfort. So we never push too hard or strain too much. We question as we go. Sometimes classes that I teach have a little more challenge to them in the prenatal classes, and sometimes less. So depending on what I'm feeling, actually, intuitively. So right now, just sit comfortably, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what we're going to do. We're warming up our body. We're going to do some gentle stretching, having some key points in focus on awareness of movements and what you're feeling in your body. We're going to also observe and engage with discomfort in the joints or in muscles, and breathing consciously through that discomfort and noticing if there's a change or shift in that discomfort. And that's a great practice in preparing you for that great day when that discomfort is very strong. And if you're in a practice of how to deal with that for months prior to that day, you'll be in good stead when it's time to do your part in helping baby come. So that's something I want you to kind of tune into when we're going through our class today. Okay, so let's start with our first posture. I think what we'll do is warm up our spine. So let's get up onto our hands and knees. It's actually two postures in a way, the cat-cow. So when you're up on your hands and knees, you want to make sure your hands are in line with your shoulders, and your knees and feet are about hip-width distance, and the top of your feet are pressing into the mat, and your toes are spread into the mat. When you inhale, you're going to sway the back and look up towards the ceiling and open up your throat and reach your chin up. When you exhale, you're going to round and arc your spine up towards the ceiling and pull your core in. Your core is still there, even though you have a baby. Also there, your core is still there. So pull that in towards your spine and drop your head down and really arc your spine up towards the ceiling. And then inhale, sway your back, roll the shoulders back, opening up your throat. And then exhale, rounding your spine, drawing your tummy in, drawing your core in, dropping your head down. Let's do it again. Inhale, sway back, roll the shoulders back, and then exhale. Last time, arcing your spine up towards the ceiling, dropping your head down, pressing your palms and feet into the mat, and then come to a neutral position. And notice how that feels. It feels really great. A lot of us, we don't practice yoga as much as we wish we could. And so when we do things that manipulate our spine, it feels so invigorating, it feels so good, because you're getting energy moving through your spine, through your body, through your lungs, through all the systems of your body. So it's a great practice when you practice yoga after you do a posture to mentally acknowledge how good you feel. What do I feel like? Does this feel good? Yes. Oh. And then gratitude, for that. Okay. Something else to consider, whenever you're practicing any kind of exercise, whether it's prenatal yoga or any yoga class or any exercise while you're pregnant, you should always check with your doctor and make sure that you've got a thumbs up there, because sometimes we have different situations with our pregnancy. So you want to make sure that you're in a good place for that with your doctor. Okay? All right. So let's move on to the next posture. So the next posture, we're going to open up our hips a little bit more. We could do pigeon pose, but I'm thinking today I'm just going to go and do pigeon pose, and we are going to do a hip opening, very similar to pigeon, but what I'd like to do is just sit like you're on a beach, okay? And bring your feet forward a little bit. Sometimes when I teach this posture in other classes, I bring the feet closer to the knees, but for you today, let's bring them forward a little bit and ground through your feet, okay? And all you're going to do is we'll start with the left foot and put it on top of your right knee. Now, in order to get that foot on the knee, you might not need to pull your knee in a little bit, and then you can rock it back to the center, or you might need to bring your foot forward a little bit, and then you can bring it back a little bit. But, see the triangle I got going on here? That's kind of what you want to make, a triangle, okay? And then from here, just drop your left knee down and flex your left foot, and you'll feel a stretch in your hip. Now, if you're in your first trimester and you have a lot of space, you can walk your hands forward a little bit. If you're not, stay back here, okay? And maybe walk your foot forward a little bit, just a little bit, just till you feel it, okay? And then breathe deeply. And take one more breath. Great, and then take your leg off. And we'll open our feet about mat width, and just rock your knees from side to side, gently. Rocking from side to side, kind of like windshield wipers. Okay, and now we'll do the other side, bringing your feet so they're in line with your hips again. So this time, right ankle on top of the left knee, flex your right foot. If you need to, in your first trimester, you can walk your hands forward. And I hope I said your first trimester in the last one. That's what I meant. If I said third, my bad. And then and breathe deeply. You can bring your foot in if you need to go deeper. Nice deep breaths. Awareness, again, we want to watch the discomfort. Do you feel discomfort in your hip when you're getting this stretch? If it is really uncomfortable, because when you're in your third trimester, second sometimes, your hips really start spreading and they get uncomfortable. So if this is really uncomfortable, just stretch your leg forward, and you could just bring your hand to your knee and press your knee down. That gives you a good stretch too. Okay? That's an option. Modified. Very modified. We'll take one more breath. And then release your right leg from your knee and open your feet about mat width and just rock from side to side again. Like windshield wipers. Good. All right. And now let's turn and face center. Sitting comfortably, ankle in front of ankle if you want to. You can put just a blanket instead of the block and blanket or the book and blanket, just a blanket underneath your bottom. Okay. Hands resting on your knees. So now we're going to just focus on isolated areas. I'm going to take a deep breath in, And as you exhale, let's drop the head down, and we're just opening up the back of the neck and bringing all of our attention to what you're experiencing as you drop your head down, breathing in and out. So it seems like, yes, we're stretching the back of our neck, but you can, if you really look, you can notice it's all the way down your spine. Maybe you could even feel it in your hips. And then inhale, bring your chin up, and reach your chin up towards the ceiling, opening up your throat. We're not dropping our head back, it's like you're looking up at something in the sky. You're not dropping way back like that. You're just looking up. And then stretch your chin towards the ceiling, and you'll feel a big stretch in your neck and your throat. Breathe through your nose. In and out, just through the nose when you practice. And then carefully come on back to center. Okay, and then drop your head forward. And then roll it over to your left. And then hold it to the left, almost like your ear's about to touch your left shoulder. And feel the stretch on your right shoulder. Just drop it down a little bit. Just relax that right shoulder down. And then roll your head to the back. And then roll your head to the right. And hold it there on the right. And feel the left shoulder. And drop your left shoulder down. Just relax it down. And then roll your head forward. All the way back to center. And now go the other way. Roll to the right. Feel the discomfort. Breathe through it on the left side. And roll to the back. And then roll to your left. Drop your right shoulder. Feel that stretch. And then roll forward. And then pick your head up. So when I say discomfort, I'm referring to anything that is not a normal feeling in your body. So when we do yoga stretches, there's a bit of a discomfort because you're pulling on muscles, they're pulling apart or they're elongating, and they're creating some discomfort initially. But as you breathe deeply, that discomfort starts to calm down a little bit, or you get more tolerant of it. You see, you can feel, yeah, this is going to be good for me. A lot of yoga practices, you don't get the benefits till after the class, like a half hour, an hour later, or even the next day. So just know that you'll feel really good eventually if you're not right away. Some people feel it right away. Okay, so let's move on. So now we've just opened up our neck and our shoulders a little bit. Let's inhale, arms out to the side, and reach and extend the arms up. Reaching and extending, touch your palms. And then exhale, lower your palms down. So this is a variation of a pranayama. Breathing in and out through the nose. Inhale, reaching your arms up. Look up and watch your hands touch. And then exhale, slowly lower them down like they're moving through water. Nice and easy. Let's do it again. Inhale, reach and extend up. And exhale. Inhale up. And exhale. Let's do one more. Inhale up. And exhale. Great. And now let's release the legs forward and walk your heels. And point your feet and flex. Point and flex. And rotate. And go the other way. And then open and close, open and close. All right, so take the blanket out. And we'll move into a cobbler pose. And this one, depending on how far along you are, if you're in your first trimester, you don't need these pillows. If you're in your second or third, possibly. Maybe you could get away with not using them in your second. Some people can. Some people are really already showing a lot in their second trimester. So you have to kind of gauge what's good for you. You're going to take those pillows and put them on each thigh and knee like this. So you're ready. Rock from side to side and get your glutes out of the way so you can feel your sits bones. This is the cobbler pose. This is great for your hips. Again, we're still working on different areas. We're going to hinge forward at your hips. If you need more than this, you can add another pillow. Yeah, because like say you're in your third trimester, your baby needs a lot of room. And then you could just hinge forward a little bit and drop your head down and relax like this. And breathe. Also, if this is uncomfortable with your knees going down, you could put one of these underneath your knees, like this. Isn't that fun? And then that feels really comfortable, coming forward and relaxing. And you just let your head drop down and breathe. Again, breathing in and out through the nose. And in these postures where you're falling forward like this, when you're in a forward fold, it's number one, it's harder to breathe deeply. So I am in a habit of saying breathe deeply. But if breathing deeply is uncomfortable, just let your breath be natural. Just if any time you're in a yoga class and doing a yoga posture and it's uncomfortable to breathe deeply, just let it be natural. Let your breath be natural. Listen to your body talk to you. So your head is dropped down. And we're watching our breath. And we're watching the discomfort. Where are you feeling the discomfort in this posture? And observe it intently and notice, does it change with your exhale breath? Do you notice that you become calmer with your exhale breath? And if you become calmer, does the area that's being challenged, that's discomfort, is that becoming calmer? Or looser? Or more at ease? And if it isn't, it's always okay to come out, move it around, and try again. So we'll take 2 more breaths here. And then slowly round up. Do a big shoulder roll up, back, and down. Take your pillows off and out. And bring your knees together and do a little slide with your heels again. And point your toes and flex. Point and flex. Point and flex. And then rotate. And go the other way. And open and close. So we're pretty warmed up. We're ready for some more challenging type postures. So we're going to come up onto our hands and knees in tabletop. Keeping your shoulders in good alignment with your hands. So I like a wider stance with my hands, but you certainly can do whatever feels good. Just don't put your hands too close together. And you want at least one hand space between each hand. And the knees and feet are hip width distance. So in this one, we're going to work on just taking we'll start balancing on our right leg and ground evenly through your hands and your fingertips as well. You're going to tilt your pelvis slightly and squeeze and engage your floor, your pelvis, and a little bit of your glutes and your core. And the right foot's grounded, spreading the toes into the mat. Stretch your left leg back and just leave your toes on the mat initially so you can just feel what it's like to be on just your right leg and your hands, okay? And then find a focal point forward beyond the mat line, something on your floor, or like if you have hardwood floors, maybe where the corners meet is a good point. And then lift your left leg up with a flexed foot and just lift it up as high as your hip. And notice what's happening here. Again, engage your pelvis by tilting it forward a little bit and squeezing your glutes. And then point your toe and lift your leg as high as you can. And as you do that, lift your head. And really push against the mat with your hands
Lift out of your shoulder joints, and then bend your knee and point your toe, and breathe. Tilt your pelvis. Try not to let that sway get real big in your low back. You want to try to close that up by tilting your pelvis. And then flex your foot and lengthen your leg and lower your leg down. And then release your knee to the mat. And then sit back in your heels with your knees wide so you have space for your baby. And walk your hands forward and relax just on your elbows and forearms and breathe deeply. If you want to go deeper, you certainly can. You can rest your head on your hands. Or you can take your block or your book or your pillow and put it underneath your head. It's important to have your feet together and your knees wide. And breathe deeply. Okay, and now put your block aside. We're going to sit on our knees and feet. Before we do the other side, let's do a little bit of a shoulder stretch. Bring your hands behind you, interlace your fingers, and roll your shoulder blades together. And stretch your arms back behind you. Now, if you can't bring your hands together like this, you can take a block or a towel or a strap if you have a strap, and you can hold that behind you and hug your shoulder blades together. Take another breath. And then release your arms. Put the block or whatever you used away, and we'll come back up onto our hands and knees. Hands are in line with the shoulders. Spread fingers, nice strong palms on the mat. You want your palms grounded on the mat. You don't want to lift going on in your hand. You want to really push your palm into the mat so you feel steady and stable. Grounding through the left foot this time. We're going to take the right leg back and just keep your toes on the mat and notice how it feels to be on just your hands and your left knee. Spread the top of your left foot into the mat, look forward, find that focal point, and then lift your foot, lift your leg. You can flex your foot at this point, make sure your leg is in line with your right hip. Tilt your pelvis forward a little bit, engaging your core, it's there, so squeeze. Good. And now point your toe and lift your leg up higher. Lift out of your shoulder joints, get real strong in that left arm. It wants to bend, so strengthen it. And then bend your right knee, pointing your toe up towards the ceiling. Breathe. One more breath. And then flex your foot and lower your leg down. And release your knee to the mat. And open your knees wide. Feet together, sitting back in a wide-kneed child's pose. If you used a block, use a block for lowering down, or you can just rest on your forearms. So whatever is good for you. Nice deep breaths here. We'll take one more breath. And then bring your hands to the mat. Carefully come up. Bring your knees together again and your feet together. If sitting like this is uncomfortable, you can put one of your throw pillows underneath like this, or underneath your ankles. So whatever feels good. Always want to be comfortable. Okay, so we're going to stretch our shoulders again, but just in a different direction. Reaching your arms out to the side. I'll turn and face you so you can see what we're doing. We're going to reach our arms out to the side and wrap your arms all the way around you and hug yourself. And just drop your elbows down gently. You don't want to press too hard into our chest. Okay, and we'll just relax the shoulders and breathe. Feel how good that feels in the back of your shoulders, the shoulder joints. The more you can walk your hands all the way around the back, the bigger the stretch. All right, so let's release. So the right arm was under, let's put the left arm under. And wrap. At least my right arm was under. Whatever the bottom arm was under, switch it out. Just a simple switch. And breathe. And then release. Good. And then roll your shoulders around and around. Big shoulder rolls. Good. And go the other way. So some of you are first-time moms, and some of you have other little ones running around. And I think one of the greatest jobs of the world is a mom, because they do a lot for, not just for the kids, but for everyone in the family. And so, and they often, not realizing it, put themselves very last. And it's rare when we can have that time to put ourselves first. And so that's really, to me, what prenatal yoga is. It's conditioning the mommy, and preparing her to be the very best she can be. And the only way that can happen is if she focuses unconditionally on herself and gives herself what she needs. So we're giving ourselves what we need today so that we can be a full cup, a full well, full of water. An empty well gives no water. So if we're always giving for everybody else and we never take time to ourselves, how can we give back authentically? Okay, so now moving on to the next posture. So we were just sitting on the knees. If you were watching me and doing what I was doing, you were probably doing the same thing. So we're going to do a couple of things. I'm going to give you options. So if you're used to practicing yoga, if this is something you do regularly, lift to downward facing dog and walk it out. Walk your knees. If it's not something you're used to, just stretch one leg back, turning the toes under, press your heel back, push your knee up towards the ceiling, lift out of your shoulder joints, and then switch. Great. All right, and those of you in down dog, come on down. So we're going to take our left foot and step it forward just inside, or just where your left hand was, okay? Flipping your back toes under. Now you have room for your tummy. There's plenty of room there. Flipping your back toes under. If for whatever reason there isn't room, you feel like it's a little snug there, you can move your left foot out just a smidge, just a little bit, but not as wide as your mat. You don't want to go that far out. Then hands are on the mat. Something you could do if you wanted to, you could put a block here for one hand, and that kind of takes some of the, maybe it's a lot of weight like this, or maybe you feel uncomfortable with all your hand weight on the mat. So you could put one hand on the block. If you have two blocks, you can put one on each side. I mean, that's an option. All we're going to do is lock up the groin, squeeze here, and press forward. Press forward in the hips and push the back toes in the mat till you feel a nice stretch in your front hip flexor. Keep your heart lifted. Keep your head lifted. Shoulders are back. One more breath. Great. And then carefully walk your hands back. Put more weight on that back leg. Move your block out of the way if you were using it. And release your left leg back. And sit back in wide legs in child's pose again. And relax. And breathe. Nice, easy breaths. And take one more breath. And then come up. We'll do the other side. Just checking my time here. So knees and feet are hip width distance, stepping your right foot forward. Again, if you need to, you can step it out just a little bit more to the right. It doesn't have to be perfectly in line with your hip, although that would be ideal. Flip your left toes under. And unless you're really uncomfortable, obviously don't do it. But there's nothing you can do to hurt your situation or injure yourself really, unless you're not paying attention. And we're trying to be mindful and paying attention here. So grounding through your front foot, we're gonna lock up the groin, squeeze the groin, squeeze your glutes a little bit, and press your hips forward, and lift your heart, and look forward, and hands are on the mat, or on a block on one side, and that helps for kind of balancing the whole situation as you press your hips forward, lift your heart, breathe. And awareness is on the stretch in the left hip, front side. Push your back toes to the mat, and you'll feel a bigger stretch as you press forward. Your front heel, you want it to be grounded. If it's lifting, you might need to move your foot forward a little bit. Take one more breath. Great job, and then carefully come back. Put your block aside. Putting more weight in your left leg, release your right leg back. Open your knees wide, feet together, again in a relaxed child's pose. And at this time, you're probably thinking, oh, I love child's pose. Oh, I love child's pose. Well, guess what? You could do it at home anytime, especially if you turn on Killer Yoga. And just relax, breathing deeply. And if you want more yoga other than the prenatal, because we only offer it once a week right now, you could check out our yin classes or our gentle classes. Nice, easy breaths. Those would be great. We'll take one more breath. All right, and then carefully come up onto your hands and knees. And let's bring our legs out in front. So moving forward, hopefully you have a block or a book or a firm, smaller pillow, something like that. And we're going to carefully lay all the way back on our back. I'm going to move this blanket out of the way. Okay. So you're all the way on your back. Walk your feet in a little bit. I want you to take your block and put it between your knees. And then walk your feet in and your knees in just so you feel like you're holding the block comfortably. But you don't want your feet right next to each other. You want to keep them open about the length of the block or the width of the block. And your arms are down by your side, palms down, chin is in. Walk your shoulders down a little bit. And you'll feel a natural curve in your lumbar spine. So we're going to take a deep breath here. When you exhale, squeeze the block with your knees and press the low back into the mat and close up that curve. And really ground through your feet. And that's emptying all the air out. And then inhale, release the curve. Let it come back. And don't squeeze the block so much. Just hold it naturally. And then exhale, squeeze the block and tilt your pelvis. Ground through your feet. And then inhale, release the curve. Everything loosens. And then exhale, squeeze the block. Now what are we doing? We're strengthening not only our inner thighs, and then inhale, release. And then exhale, squeeze, tilt, and squeeze your groin, squeeze your groin, squeeze the block, squeeze the groin. And then inhale, we're also strengthening the floor of our pelvis. And then exhale, squeeze the block, squeeze your groin, push your feet in the mat, press your low back into the mat, squeeze your butt. Inhale, loosen. And they're not breathing really hard here. We're nice, easy breaths. And then exhale, squeeze. And these squeezes are just enough to engage muscles. And then inhale, loosen. Breath is nice and easy. It's not hard or fast. And then exhale, squeeze. And when you strengthen the floor of your pelvis, if you did this, if you're like in your first trimester and you did this your whole pregnancy, you're going to be Superwoman on your big day of delivery. And then exhale, squeeze, 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 squeeze. One more. Inhale, loosen. And then exhale, squeeze, 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 squeeze. All the ears out. And then inhale, loosen. And then take the block out. And put it behind you or near you, because you're going to use it again in a minute. Then flex your feet, pick up your knees, open your knees nice and wide so you have room for your baby, and press your tailbone down, draw your chin in, nice wide, pulling the knees in. This is a familiar position. This is the position. So get used to it. It's a good position. It's a great position. It's a power position. One more breath. All right, let's bring our feet to the mat. So take your block again. And this is when you can use a blanket or a block. You could take a folded blanket, fold it a couple of times, and that could go under your hips, because we're going to do a reclining bridge pose. And this feels so good for a lot of people in their second and third trimester, and definitely in your first. But a lot of people experience some back pressure and some back discomfort in their second and third, and so this gives them a lot of relief. And then there's others who, they can't stand this posture. So you got to kind of gauge for yourself what works for you, but you're going to lift your hips up and slide the blanket under. And if you want, you could use a block. I mean, if you're in your first trimester, use the block, that would be fine. And if you're in your second and third, it would be fine. Just, notice if it feels good or not, or if it doesn't feel good. Once you're on the blanket or block, you're going to stretch your legs out in front and relax and let go. And, if this is your first time trying this, try the blanket first and see how that feels. And if that feels good and you're like, oh, this is nothing, I can do this, try the block. You bend your knees up again, take the blanket out, put the block underneath, and give that a try. And then arms are just like cactus arms, not too high up, but just, bent elbows in line with your shoulders. And then draw your chin in and just let go. Let your body melt. And keep your breath moving. Nice, easy breaths. Notice every time you exhale, is there a loosening of any tension that you're feeling in your hips or in your low back? And again, if at any time it doesn't feel right, you know to listen to your body and carefully come out. And the way to carefully come out, we'll look at it in just a moment. Let's take 2 more breaths. Really letting go on the exhales. Let go of any tension. 1 more breath. And then bending up your knees. Push your feet into the mat and carefully lift your hips up and remove the blanket or the block and put it out of the way. And then take your hands and place them underneath your hips and tilt your pelvis and carefully lower down 1 vertebrae at a time. Good. And we're going to just pick up your left knee and pull your left knee in first outside your tummy. So pull it into the outside and then lower it down. And then let's do the right side. Pick up your right side and pull it in. And make sure that the other leg that isn't being pulled in is in alignment with your hip. You don't want it falling out to the side. You want to keep it in alignment. Some mindfulness there. Pulling in your knee towards your shoulder. And then releasing. Now bring both of them in again wide, picking up both knees, tilt your pelvis, and then squeeze and pull those knees wide. Then press your tailbone down. So it's, instead of tilting the pelvis, now we're pressing it down towards the mat. And then release your feet and knees to the mat. Good. Beautiful. So we're going to twist next. So you can use a couple of throw pillows or a bolster. We're going to go to our right first. So you're going to move your hips to your left, straighten out your right leg, keep your left knee bent and place it on the pillows so that your left hip's kind of facing up towards the ceiling. And then just do cactus arms and turn your head. So we're not trying to do any big twisting. It's very subtle twisting. And then you just turn and look to your left and breathe. If you need more than 2 pillows, use 3. Stack as many as you need to feel comfortable. And keep your breath moving. I'm going to check the time here. We'll take 2 more breaths with awareness, really watching the flow of the breath and observing the discomfort. Where are you feeling it? One more breath. Then we'll pick our head up first, turn it back to center, pick up your left leg and roll back to your spine and keep your left knee in. And we'll just take our left knee and roll it out to the side and roll it forward. It's like you're making circles with your knee. Roll it out to the side, forward, and back to the center and up. Out to the side, forward, and back to the center and up. Good. Just to loosen up that hip a little bit more. Then bring your feet to the mat, lift your hips, and lower back down. So move your pillows or whatever you use to prop your leg up to the other side. And now our hips are going to move to the right. The left leg is stretched out and the right knee's bent, and you're rolling this time your knees to the pillows on your right. And the closer the pillows are to your body, the more support you get. And then cactus arms, and then turn your head and breathe and relax. If you want to, you can hold your knees down with your left hand. That's a great support. If your knee feels like it wants to roll back to your right, you can hold it down with your left hand. Just put a little weight there. Not forcing it down or anything. You're just putting a little weight there to keep it in place. And breathing deeply. Or as deeply as you can in a twist. And always, always, we listen to what our body's telling us. So if it doesn't feel good, then you come out and you don't do it. But if it does feel good, connect with the observing in the breath, observing the discomfort, observing the stretch, and the breath. Now we're going to pick our head up, turn back to center, and then take your right leg, and you can use your right hand to bring it on back. Roll it back onto your spine, bring your feet to the mat, lift your hips up, and lower them back down to realign everything. And then pick up both knees, and again, we're going to do that wide stretch, flexed feet, chin in, shoulders away from the ears. Okay, one more breath. And then bring your feet to the mat. So our next posture, roll to your side, and it's okay if your back is to me, because I want you to lay on your left side. So I'm going to turn around so that, in case you need to watch me first, or you can turn around with me, whatever works. So we're going to get all our pillows. Hopefully you have all these pillows too. You have at least 4 pillows. We're going to put some pillows up here where our head is going to be, and you're going to put pillows between your knees. You're going to lay on your side, on your left side, and put a pillow right on top of your shoulder and underneath your neck, and then 2 pillows between your knees. And notice how good that feels. And then just close your eyes. I'm going to take my glasses off and relax. You can your right arm can rest on your rib cage or on your thigh, whatever's comfortable. You get comfortable. I'm going to sit up and talk you through it. This is our final posture relaxation pose. So let's take a deep breath in, filling up your lungs, and then hot out. Let's do it again.
breath. With your eyes closed, notice how good you feel after all the yoga you did. Notice how your body feels laying comfortably on your side. And consider taking your right hand, resting it in your right arm resting in your rib cage, your right hand resting on your abdomen, and just acknowledging the life growing inside you. A beautiful, beautiful life growing inside you. And although our focus was on mommy today and her comfort and her feeling good inside, it can't help but overflow into your baby. So you are already taking very good care of your baby by taking care of you. As you breathe in and out, allow your body to just loosen and relax. Letting go of the cares of your world. Right now, in this moment, you are calm and peaceful and rested. And you've nurtured yourself and loved yourself like no one else can. And if you get in the habit of doing this regularly, whether it's yoga or taking time for you, going for walks, swinging on a swing, taking good long soaking baths, then you're becoming a great example for not just your new life inside you one day, but everybody in your life will learn from you. Just by being you, just by loving yourself and taking care of you. Breathing in how good it feels right now. Breathing out how good it feels right now. Breathing in gratitude for how good you feel. Breathing out gratitude. If you're ever feeling stressed, if you're ever feeling overwhelmed, stop. Move away from the situation physically. Find a space, a quiet space, even if it's in a bathroom. Connect with your breath and connect what you're grateful for. Breathing in gratitude. Breathing out gratitude. It's an immediate fixer or uplifter or remedy immediately. Because the feeling of gratitude is joy. Overwhelming joy, bubbling up from what we are grateful for. And it could be simple things like a glass of clean water, fresh air to breathe, the sun shining on your face. Breathing in gratitude. Breathing out gratitude. Acknowledging your baby with your hand on your tummy. Breathing in gratitude for your life growing inside of you. Breathing out gratitude for the life growing inside of you. Breathing in gratitude for a healthy body that can do what's necessary as you're built to do what's necessary. Breathing out gratitude for that big day. Breathing in gratitude. Breathing out gratitude. All right, and now we're going to wiggle our fingers and our toes. Rotate your wrists and your ankles. And then just stretch your legs and your arms gently. And just relax, still laying on your side. Just relax. Notice how good you feel. And I would encourage you at least 2 more times today to remember how good you feel right now. And even get to detailed in the memory so that you can recreate that vibration of good feeling. And then carefully, so we're going to come up. You're going to take the pillows out from your legs and just move them out. Your bottom arm, it's underneath you, so you're going to use it as a prop in a minute. Push the top hand into the floor, straighten out your top leg, and push against the floor and use your bottom arm to help you come up. Carefully come up and then sit for a moment. Let's take a deep breath in. Sometimes when we come up from laying down, and a lot of times if you're pregnant and you come up from laying down like that, you get a little lightheaded. So we're going to take some deep breaths in, sitting up nice and tall. Let's do that again. Let's do one more. And then bringing your hands together over your heart. Let's bow our heads to ourselves in gratitude. Namaste yourself. Lower your hands to your tummy. Namaste, baby. Namaste. Have a great rest of your day. Take your time getting up. If you're coming up from the floor and you're in your 3rd trimester, take your time. 1 foot forward, hand on the foot, back toes under, push. Thank you. Have a great day.